Welcome to the Deeper Into Movies podcast. My name is Stephen T. Hanley. I'm the founder and lead curator of Deeper Into Movies. We are a pop-up cinema based in London and New York. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by writer-director Kristoffer Borgli. We are here to discuss his new movie, Sick of Myself. Sick of Myself is a Norwegian black comedy about a couple in a competitive relationship, and when one of them, the boyfriend, makes a breakthrough as a contemporary artist, the girlfriend makes a hellbent attempt on attracting attention and sympathy by taking some meds which she knows will have an adverse effect and basically make her face swell up. And she's got no breaks. It just goes further and further and gets more and more disturbing. Throw in some kind of Ruben Östlund cringe comedy and some David Cronenberg body horror, and you're kind of there. I've said enough. This is me and Chris in conversation.
I was just hearing your voice like slow down 100%. It sounded really spooky.
That's how I talk.
Yeah.
How's things? Where are you, in LA?
I'm in LA, yeah.
You moved, right? You're a full-time?
Yeah, I moved 6 years ago. Yeah, actually about the same time I started writing Sick of Myself.
How's the weather change for a start?
The weather?
Yeah, big change from Norway.
Yeah, that's like one of the main reasons for leaving Norway was just I got so depressed in the winter, and just needed to get away from like 6 months of darkness and freezing temperatures. So LA has done wonders in that department.
Yeah, no more seasonal depression and things like that.
Yeah.
I went tobogganing. Sledding in Oslo.
Where was it?
It was in Oslo, and we were staying at the hotel, and the guy said, you got to go to this snow sledding. You go up on the train, and then you have a complete
Right.
pathway to go down. And I don't know what I did, that everyone was shooting down this one path, and I veered off to go my own way. And the next thing I knew, I almost came out at a motorway where I almost just shot out directly into 4 lanes of motorway traffic.
Wow, yeah, you have to stay on the path, brother.
It was so crazy. It was like something like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation or something, where they're just shooting through the traffic and stuff. And I was like, you'd think this would be signposted.
We respect snow sledding in Norway.
Yeah, no warning signs or anything, just straight into I kind of respected that. That was cool.
Yeah.
So what kind of teenager were you? What did you grow up watching? What movies had an impact? And what did you do for fun?
Right. I started working at a video store when I was 16 years old. My older brother got me that job. And I had a film interest going into this job, but like the massive archive and the amount of time I started spending just diving deep into just film history was so like sudden and so massive, and it really just it kind of like hijacked me through high school. I stayed up all night watching movies. I saw like 4 to 5 movies back to back, staying up all night, and then flunking almost in every every grade. And I think I started getting fascinated by was David Lynch and seeing how specific and strange and personal his movies were. And then kind of, I guess, through that understanding the more authorship of cinema, that it comes from like a very strong point of view. Yeah, it kind of kept growing from there and into my 20s. And then, you know, I started trying to make my own little short films, and then step by step, you know, suddenly after whatever 15 years of doing this, I'm finally making my own films.
And what were the big Lynch movies for you? How do you rank them?
Oh, I think like the Velvet was probably like the one I caught first. Eraserhead too was like something that felt maybe the most alien to me. I think though, like Mulholland Drive came out when I was working at the video store, so that I was already kind of into him, and then a new thing dropped, and I would completely swept away. I think Mulholland Drive was even though it wasn't the first one, it was just like, I guess like confirmed.
Yeah,
his like art was like very impactful.
Yeah, I'm Team Lost Highway. I'm always championing Lost Highway. I think that's just so incredible.
It's a good one. If it's like a battle between them, I don't think it makes it at the very top, but I do really like it. And there's also this, I don't know if you read it, this very fun article written by David Foster Wallace, and he's visiting the set of...
Yeah, when he was on set, yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good companion piece to seeing that movie and then reading that article.
Yeah, there's a really cool making of as well. I don't know if you've seen that. It used to be a DVD extra. I think maybe, I hope Criterion put it on it as an extra. It would make sense.
I haven't seen that. No, I should do that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I think he was so years ahead of the time in the kind of neo-noir and the kind of LA noir of Lost Highway. I don't think anyone really got what he was doing, and merging like classic Hollywood with putting like industrial music on it and casting like Marilyn Manson and stuff. I think it was a really crazy hybrid of things.
Yeah, well, I also didn't know what he was doing, and I think that what got me so hooked was like it was a mystery to be unraveled.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, it like didn't, you know, because I was getting into film, so it wasn't like disrupting sort of any kind of genre, or I wasn't, you know, that familiar with like what conventions he was breaking or building or anything. It was just yeah.
I love that. It's almost more a pure approach, when kind of like when I saw Blue Velvet for the first time, or when I was getting into like Art House in India and I saw like Funny Games, and the more movies you see, you realize, God, that film's really extreme, or that film's really strange or impenetrable. But when it's young, everything's just new.
I think that's like how I saw Trier movies too. So, you know, being from Scandinavia, and my father's Danish, and I think Lars Von Trier was just a person who existed in my life before I was even that interested in movies, and just kind of took him for granted as being like an important and intelligent filmmaker. But sometimes, you know, I think I saw The Idiots when I was probably like 16 or something, and that made a lot of sense to me. But like Breaking the Waves was like more kind of my parents' jam.
Yeah.
But now, like rewatching them now, like I have a much better appreciation of what he was doing, because it is like once you start understanding conventions and understanding kind of the architecture of cinema, then you appreciate all the kind of intricate moves that he's making.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the Dogma movement was just absolutely incredible. Like, you can't really imagine a bunch of kind of world cinema auteurs now suddenly, someone like Almodovar or someone just, I'm just going to throw away all the budget and all the glamour of my movies and just grab mini DV cameras or say today iPhones and just set myself these limits and parameters.
Yeah, and in that regards, like there was maybe a way to really stand out if you were shooting, kind of documentary style video. If you want to stand out now, like you shoot on film. So they were standing out by making it more amateurish. Now you stand out if you make it more professional, because everyone has a camera and everyone we see these like amateur video content every day. So to stand out, like you kind of have to do the opposite.
Yeah. So what was your pathway into films? Did you go to film school?
I did not. No, I did attend this like really media school for 1 year and dropped out because it was like I think just like the education is pretty much free all over in Norway, but there's it's not illegal to start a private school. So there was this like cash grab media school thing that started, and I was dumb enough to throw my money at them and didn't learn anything. But I just dropped out, and then thought of like the title of director is not like a protected title like a doctor say. So I just felt like I can just call myself a director and then claim that I am one, and that's kind of how it started.
That's a great approach. That's one of the hardest things I found. Even when I say I'm a film creator, I was like, this is such a lofty title that it almost took me a few years to own it and not just almost, I don't know, make excuses or justify my career in life.
To me, it's the like naive hubris that I could only have as like a 21-year-old. But I'm happy that I did, because it's like calling myself a director at 2021. It's still taking me this long to kind of like figure it out.
Yeah.
And if I had to do more steps, then I would be even further behind. So I'm glad that I kind of took a little shortcut.
How did you start out? Were you just making shorts? How did you get attention and start doing stuff?
Yeah, I like that 1 year in the media school thing, like there was they had a camera that you could borrow, so I made some shorts with that. They were like really terrible, bad, very like complete Lynch ripoffs with none of the like real kind of art to it. And then like this year there was this publicly announced competition to direct a music video for a pretty popular Norwegian artist, and I applied for that and then won that. So suddenly I was making my first music video too. And it was like pre-YouTube. So this music video suddenly was on TV all over Norway. And I was like, wow, I'm definitely a real director.
Yeah.
And kind of, just kept doing music videos, a little bit of commercials to make some income. And did that for years. While also, as I was doing more music videos, I found a way to do kind of, things that felt more like a short, even though the task was to make a music video. One of those things was a short film called Whateverist, which I made back in like 2012, with kind of collaborating with a Norwegian musician, Todd Turge, who had this hit Inspector Norse. And that like short film music video hybrid kind of got a lot of attention online, and then I kind of used that as a proof of my abilities or something with the Norwegian Film Institute, and then started applying for writing grants. So it's been like a long road. I think my first application with the Norwegian Film Institute was probably like when I was 26 or something, and this film, not that it was the same film, but for different projects, I've been trying to get them to support me. And then this project was like fully funded in 2021, and I'm now 32 35 or 36 when I get that. So yeah, it's been a long road.
And I saw on your Vimeo, there was an Adidas film that was deemed too weird to be screened.
Yeah, very, very recently. That was last year. There's some friends of mine who started a brand out here called Praying. And they had an Adidas collaboration for a sneaker. And they asked if I wanted to make an ad for it. And I wrote this little kind of short film idea that turns into an ad. It was ultimately decided by Adidas that they weren't allowed to publish it. It was like, yeah, they said, quote, that it was too weird.
I was wondering, how is it in general when you have a unique and strange vision? How is it when you're pitching to people getting their head around your style and your voice and your dark comedy and your body horror and things like that?
Yeah, I think if you're trying to do it in commercial realm and in advertising or in music video, you have to convince other people to kind of accept what you're doing. But I don't do that. I did this thing. It was a couple of friends of mine. Like, I haven't done an ad in many years before that. So it's not so much about convincing people to advertise their product with my vision. It's more, kind of convincing people that my movies should be made and invested in, which is a kind of a different task. It's like in advertising, people want things to be familiar, and it's almost like the more proof that you can point to of existing materials, if it's in the shape of like a mood board or whatever it is, things that look exactly like what you're going to make, that's the way that they are reassured enough to make it. And in cinema, it feels like the opposite. Like you're kind of like pushed to try something new, and so it's more, that's more my speed. I've had a complicated relationship with advertising. I've done some of it, and it's made it possible for me to stay alive as a director. But I don't really like it. It was never a goal on its own to do ads or even music videos. It's always been just a way to get to make movies.
I had an interesting conversation with Todd Field, that's pretty much his, I wouldn't say his side hustle, but that's his main source of income.
Yeah.
And he just says, I'll just shoot the fucking car commercial. I won't try and put any of myself into it. I've taken the check. I'm a gun for hire, and I'll just knock it out. But yeah,
it's like a pragmatic and kind of soul-sucking way of looking at it. It's that way is respectable, sort of, because you're not trying to insist that there's real art in the ad.
Yeah.
But it makes it less fun, of course, because you're not operating with your intuitive, creative excitement. It's purely like selling your time away and not enjoying the process. But I don't know if it's better to have this like naive optimism of feeling that fighting for a good ad has any value.
Yeah.
So I think like if you can't, for me, I'm just saying for my own sake, like if I can stay away from it, I'll stay away from it, because I don't like selling off my time. It's better placed in writing my next movie rather than I'm not in a position where I'm like looking for safety in my life. Like, I'm not thinking about my pension. I want to spend as much time as possible just creating my own art. But I understand that people need to find a way to make this creative life work, and ads just like happen to pay really well, and I understand it, but I do think that the net negative of advertising is like immense and bigger than maybe like filmmakers are willing to kind of accept.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Mubi, a creator streaming service dedicated to elevating great cinema with films from around the world. I've been a Mubi subscriber for years, and I'm going to give you 3 of my favorites available from the Mubi UK platform. Okay, let's go. Brace yourselves. It's going to be a Lars Von Trier triple bill today. So number 1, Nymphomaniac Volumes 1 and 2. I keep on saying this. This is Lars Von Trier's greatest hits. This is everything he does so well and a hugely entertaining package. Maybe his most accessible. 2, The House That Jack Built. Guys, I saw this at 10 a.m. at Christmas at a preview screening. That is too early to watch this film or any other Lars Von Trier film. Don't do them at 10 a.m. and don't do them at Christmas. But fantastic film. This is Lars doing a serial killer movie. Number 3, my favorite, Melancholia. I think Kirsten Dunst is incredible in this movie. I think it's the best on-screen depiction of depression I've ever seen. And it's just stunning. It's not like anything else I've ever seen. So those are my 3 recommendations. And you can watch all these and more for free. Just go to mubi.com/deeper into movies for 30 days free, and you can watch all these movies I've recommended and a ton more. Mubi.com/deeper into movies. Chris Cunningham used to make beautiful little pieces in the ad world, I think, and Gaspar Noé's made some good stuff. But yeah, it's few and far between of it. You really feel you can see a director's vision.
But even there, like to go back to David Foster Wallace, who talked about like the greater the art and advertising, the bigger the atrocity. Like the more that advertising looks like real art or real goodwill, the more confusing it is for the general public to distinguish between the two. And it does like a huge disservice to kind of like mapping out a way towards a more kind of artful and spiritual world for all of us. I'm being very strict there, but this is real. Like I do actually care about this. And it is kind of, it's not so easy to see all the ways that that kind of like, exchanging of money for goods or services is evil. Like it could be just like, oh, I want some sneakers, and how much damage does the ad put into the world. But it's very complex. It starts. It can dictate what types of articles is written about in the newspaper, because there's an ad model funding the newspaper, and they need to they start like moving journalism and art around to feed some sort of capitalistic economic structure. And I think like back to Sick of Myself, the fact that it's like funded through art grants and film funds around Europe means that it's like a piece of art that doesn't exist inside of capitalism. It's not incentivized by capitalism, and it's not necessarily it needs to make its money back. In that way, I look at a public park that we're lucky to live in mostly societies that deem public parks as a kind almost like a human right, that we have parks. All you're supposed to do there is go and like feel nature, or feel like you're like refill your soul a little bit, get like a little time off, and it's not supposed to make money. And for like a person who works with land like a landscape architect or something, his job can feel like the exact same doing creating a public park as it would be like creating the little park around a new mall or a McDonald's. But the actual kind of reason for his work shifts tremendously. It's very different. And I'm not trying to put anyone down who's doing commercials. I've been doing a lot of it, and I've been confused exactly where I should set my limits. But it's like when we are incentivized by money to create art, it corrupts the very like nature of the art itself. And I think a lot of people do find some sort of enough of artistic expression in art that they don't see that all they're doing is like, they're not hunting real animals, they're fetching a ball for someone else. It's like the proxy of actually creating something, and it actually has like mostly a net negative on the world.
So I may be misquoting you. You said, correct me if I'm wrong, you said you've had an idea or a vision in your head for a long time of young affluent Norwegians with disease. Is that correct? Or this image of something like that, like a blonde, privileged girl in Oslo who's smiling, but with a terrific skin disease. It's like an image I've had in my head. I tried to deal with that image in a music video I did in like 2007 or 2006, like a long time ago. It felt like the image was still haunting me. And then I started writing the script in 2017, I think somewhat inspired by kind of cultural shifts I saw in specifically in the fashion industry, where like inclusivity became front and center and more important than almost the clothing themselves. And I saw suddenly how that image made sense in like a broader cultural context. And suddenly there was like somewhat of a story to tell there. And it kind of, grew from that in drafts over the next few years. And body horror was also in your short film Ear?
Yeah. And Ear was made during the pandemic, because me and Izzy Galindo, the prosthetics designer that I met in probably at end of 2019 or something, we were doing some kind of exploration and design of the skin disease that was supposed to end up in Sick of Myself. And that movie we thought was going to be shot in 2020. And then the pandemic hit, and we were kind of just waiting around, and we just found like great chemistry creatively. And we wanted to try the skin disease on a model. He was living in New York, I was in LA. So we thought, why don't you fly over to LA and we try to just see how the skin disease looks like on camera. And while you're here, let's also shoot a short film. Mm-hmm. And I had this like vague idea of something another just image in my head, which was actually myself spending every morning like draining a swollen ear of mine. Another, like, I don't know where that image fully came from, but instead of trying to really find a story or something that isn't fully a story, just like a feeling. And it was great. Like, we met each other and could collaborate on something while we were waiting for the world to kind of reopen. And we weren't even sure if we were going to make Sick of Myself at that point. The world was looking very abstract and strange and uncertain.
And how do you pitch Sick of Myself? Is it comedy or horror? It was so hard when I was trying to pitch the tone of your movie.
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, I don't pitch it. But I would say it's we said it was like an unromantic comedy because it was like a clever little tagline. It's like a relationship comedy drama that has body horror sneaking up. I always wanted to see body horror inside of a normal universe. So this was, it starts off as Woody Allen-esque relationship drama comedy, and then takes like several weird turns from there.
And what were you watching for inspiration, or did you screen any films for your cast or give them any homework?
Yeah, we actually, one movie that I like made everyone watch was Arnaud Desplechin's My Sex Life.
I haven't seen that.
It's when is it from? Like 96 or something. And it's 30 somethings in Paris dealing with kind of not that serious existential dramas. What am I supposed to be in my life? Should I break up with my girlfriend? I think maybe my friend knows that I'm into his girlfriend. Kind of like Seinfeldian themes and ideas, but in a 3-hour long, extremely gorgeous movie. And I thought the way that they shot youth and their kind of like almost made up problems and took it seriously, that was like a tone and a language that I wanted for Sick of Myself. And I think if you see them like side by side, you'll kind of feel some, at least like graphic similarities. Both shot on 35 millimeter with certain, like a European language of, tracking shots with zoom and natural light, or at least the appearance of natural light. Everything was very lit, but to look natural. That was like the main thing I wanted people to see. And then my idea also that I told all the actors is like not trying to make anything funny. Just make it seem like all the characters are stuck inside of a drama, that they're not even aware that this could be funny. And I think that's what makes it funny, that we're shooting a drama that translates to a comedy because of their, the way that they kind of set themselves up for failure and how they're struggling with these situations is way more comedic when the character seems to take them very seriously.
Yeah, when I spoke to Ruben Ostlund, he said that he would he does a lot of takes, and I was asking what his intention behind that, and he was basically saying to flatten out the energy a little bit, that the actors may be too aware that they're doing a comedic scene, and he's like, play it more normal. You're not aware. You're just experiencing this. It's going to be ridiculous to the audience that you're stuck in this situation, but to you, this is real. So The more takes they do, the energy goes lower, and it's more realistic, which makes your scene so great because the audience is just almost covering their face. They're sinking into their chair with the more awkward and crazy your character goes.
Yeah. The journey that the characters start in this movie, it's like kind of absurd. And I don't know if you're familiar with Del Close, this like improv teacher who has this famous saying of play to the top of your intelligence. And there's something about like not going for anything that mocks the character or like goes for the easy kind of joke, but kind of makes it seem like the character is staying true to their integrity in any moment. And I think to be able to kind of like believe the journey of Christina or Signa, the character played by Christina, she has to have hints of something that's not completely normal, because most people wouldn't go to the lengths that she does. But she also needed to feel real and believable, and that she seemed to not be written as a lesser person or a less intelligent person. We weren't like, we weren't pushing like a stupid person around to different traps. It was like someone actually with, kind of stakes and somewhat some integrity and a real kind of life, and like pushing her. I felt like I needed to hold the audience's hand a little bit in the beginning of like these careful steps that she takes before she like embarks on the most crazy turn. It's like the death of 1,000 cuts where you don't know which cut made you bleed out. That's the same idea here of like these little steps of insanity till you suddenly have crossed the line and not noticed it.
And how was the casting process finding her? Because this is a hugely tall order for an actress. They have to nail the comedy, the makeup, the performance. There's so much going on in there. I think they're basically in almost every scene of a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, we're going to make you hideous and have a huge amount of makeup on you as well, on top of all this.
I know. It was, I remember that. First I got writing grant, and then you get development grant. And I just said the only thing I want to focus on with the development is finding Signa, like the casting, and developing the prosthetic design of it, because those were the two like big unknowns. And I think I did a year of auditions, and it was just like so obvious when Christina showed up that the character suddenly came alive. It felt real. I think a lot of people were tempted to, kind of make fun of the character or didn't know how to like, make her feel authentic. But Christina, like every scene that we tried, it just felt real. And I started feeling bad for Signa, which was, a great feeling for me as the director of this. So it was like we searched high and low, and Christina came in and kind of saved the day and made it all possible.
And how was it with the makeup? How long was she in the makeup chair every day?
It's so the.
Oh, sorry, but there's various stages. Yeah, so
there's various stages. So like we started giving them names at a certain point to kind of distinguish between them, and we had like the main stage, the stage that is like her desired appearance, the stage that leads to a modeling career. We call that the beautiful stage. So it was like pre-beautiful stage, and then it was beautiful stage, and then I think it was just the Oh, and then there's one little moment that we call the swollen stage, and it's when she like ODs on all those pills. And then there was the post beautiful stage, and then it was like the final form. And the the one that took longest was the post beautiful stage, which is when she shows up for her first modeling gig,
Yeah.
and it's grown even worse. That took around 7 hours. That was like a very long process. And then the beautiful stage, which is like most of that stage was applied on like half the days. That was around 3 hours. So it was a little bit lighter and a little bit more achievable with our days. And then like there is like half of the movie, there is no prosthetics. But it became a real headache and a puzzle to figure out how to shoot this movie, because usually you just map it out according to locations and availability of actors. But this one you also had like, oh no, we can't shoot that part of the script because she's supposed to be in the post beautiful stage, or she's, and we couldn't mix them because we suddenly had to take a 7-hour break if we wanted to shoot two different parts of a.
Right. So what did you do? Go sequential?
No, we shot out of order, but we just tried to group in the makeup stages. We had to do like this day is like with this stage. But it was like impossible. Like there's one location that we shoot twice. It's a restaurant, and it was important that it was the same restaurant because it's like the power balance has shifted in the relationship, and I wanted to shoot at the same place but put the characters just in the opposite chairs. And so that was like with no makeup, and then we had lunch and 3-hour break, putting her in makeup and then continuing the scene. So we just had to like wait around for the prosthetics to be applied on some of the days. It was like extremely demanding for Christina, to the point where I'm pretty sure she'll say no, or at least be very hesitant if another like big prosthetics gig lands in her lap.
And one of the things that was so striking when I saw your movie at the London Film Festival, when I want to see a movie, I won't watch the trailer. I won't read anything about it. And the only thing I had heard from my friends is, oh, people have been walking out. This film is so extreme. And I was like, yeah, take my money. And then when it started, your cinematography is so beautiful. And it was very much, it was not what I was expecting when I'd heard all the kind of crazy sound bites about your film.
Yeah.
But your visual language and your cinematography, I'm like, this looks like a 70s Gordon Willis shot movie.
Wow, thank you.
That balance is such an incredible feat that you're balancing really grotesque stuff, hideous behavior, but it's shot like a dream.
Yeah, it's like, I think Tom Waits has this quote of, I like when beautiful melodies tells me terrible things, which is kind of the same thing, like a beautiful movie showing you terrible things.
Yes.
That was important to me. Like I do just genuinely love cinematography, and I'm really interested in just lighting and film, and that's an important aspect for me. So but with this movie it became even more important, I thought, to balance the grotesqueness. Like I wanted it to be a destination you wanted to visit, not like a place you wanted to escape once you saw it. That was part of the balancing of grotesque nature of some of the visual elements in the movie, was just to try to capture it as beautifully as possible. And the same kind of balance is made with a story that is about young people living today, and it's about narcissism, and it's about validation and attention and wanting to be the main character. And of course, like the easy thing to do would be to shoot a lot of phones and screens and the internet and view counts going up. But like, I didn't think that the internet was an interesting place to go, not to, not for a diagnosis or visually either. It's like that these are like timeless issues. The Munchausen syndrome was an idea or a term that was coined in the 50s, and there's like forever people have wanted validation and attention, and narcissism is nothing new. And so I wanted to avoid connecting all of this to the digital world, the screens and everything. And I think just like it became an interesting way to shoot the kind of general disease of our times, to physically manifest it on someone's body, which wasn't like part of the idea. As I said, like the idea just started with an image in my head, but in retrospect, it's like, it's kind of the best way to do this. It's psychosomatization of like our inner battles that a lot of us are, dealing with right now.
And where are you on your new movie? Is it in the can? Are you editing or?
Yeah, I'm editing. It was shot last fall, and I've been editing ever since. It's coming together. Like I'm in what feels like the final stages of the editing. And yeah, it's my first American movie. It's with a great company, A24. And Nick Cage plays the lead, alongside like a great ensemble cast. So that was like a real dream come true, which is like the puns keep haunting me. The title is Dream Scenario, and of course it was a dream scenario to make the movie.
And what did you learn from Ari as a producer? Did you glean any gems of knowledge from him?
Just like a kind of a confidence in staying true to your vision. Yeah, I think he's been good at protecting me in that way.
Yeah.
Of like finding the quality of my screenwriting and in my directing, and not feeling that I should change, for the market or anything. And in that way, he's been like a really great voice of reason for the arts.
Are there any other directors or emerging filmmakers you've discovered that you've enjoyed, or have you seen anything good recently?
Oh my God. Yes, but when you're asking me, like, just like a blanket wraps around my head and I can't think of anything.
Yeah, I shouldn't focus people, because I always get people at my events like, you program movies, what have you watched recently? And I'm like, white chicks. I don't know. I just always,
yeah.
The minute I leave, I realize all the good smart shit I've seen of new exciting New York independent directors I should be name checking, but at the time I always.
Yeah, I wish I had like some great bits for you here. What have I been watching? I mean, I'm watching The Kingdom over again, the Lars Von Trier, and I watched like Dancer in the Dark last night. I mean, I feel like I'm back on a Lars Von Trier kind of trip. As I said, like I've seen a lot of his films, but half of it I saw before I like came online or came like to full kind of cognition of what a movie is and the complexity of them. And I'm just like finding great joy in rewatching his old stuff.
Yeah, I spoke to Mia Goth, so I rewatched Nymphomaniac parts 1 and 2, which, looking back, it feels like Lars' greatest hits in the best way possible. Yeah. And also, I'll tell you something that's been driving me insane about Nymphomaniac especially, is I cannot place the time or era in that movie.
Yeah.
He's really throws you off with, there's some classic cars. I think Stacey Martin has like a old voicemail on her phone. She's got like an answering machine. That's what they were called.
Yeah.
And things like that.
There's like anachronism in time and geographics. He's, mostly bringing people to Scandinavia and inventing mostly like an American landscape, like a vague somewhere USA.
Yeah.
And it is, I find it so interesting to see that I think that he's coming to writing from what feels like a place of historical lens. Like I feel like a lot of Chekhov or something in like in Breaking the Waves or Dancer in the Dark, or Dogville. It's this like way of writing that doesn't seem very personal to a guy who's from our times and lives in Copenhagen, Denmark. It feels strange, like not writing from what you know, but more like what you like or something, like more of a God's eye on what stories can I tell. And it's almost like you have to see his movies a bit with like there's a bit of an ironic flair to them, like how bad the world is around his women in like like Dancer in the Dark. The world is so evil, and she is, if you're talking about writing and like the tropes of writing, the save the cat, of making your character make sure that your audience is rooting for that person.
Yes.
By like showing like unselfish behavior. Like he's putting that so far, like the sentimentality and the melodrama is like, how is he getting away with it? I don't know. It's like, it's crazy to me. And also like, it's interesting to see, like I recognize Sweden or I recognize Denmark, and then I see like American and French and British people all talking with their accents, but they're all living in this like small town community, working at this like strange factory or something. It's hugely fascinating, the level of artifice, but then real emotions, and like where he decides to be human and real, and where he decides to like, this is complete like artifice and tools of manipulation. And it's difficult to see because I'm fully in tears watching Dancer in the Dark, and I kind of have the sense that Lars is like laughing at me for crying.
Yeah, his set design and costume all deserve more credit, I think. It seems it's not something we here spoke about. Well, his films are so sensational that it almost gets lost in the press. Melancholia is my favorite.
Melancholia is to me also like where a lot of the elements just come together in this beautiful way, where it's also like somewhat of what I like about a big American movie is also in there, and it has like everything. It's love that movie.
Yeah, best on-screen representation of depression I've ever seen. I'm like, okay, these guys get it. These guys have been through it, and you can feel it.
And that we know is coming from a personal place. If we're talking about writing what you know, then watch one interview with the guy, and he's pretty much like a mirror of that character.
Absolutely, yeah. I really appreciate your time, and your film's incredible. You should be proud.
Well, this was really great. Thanks for having me on. Thank you so much.
Cool.
Maybe we'll do another one with the next movie.
Oh, please, anytime. Yeah, let's definitely come back for the next one.
All right, great. Well, have a good one.
Best of luck finishing your movie.
Thank you. All right, speak soon.
Take care.
Bye.
That is me and Chris in conversation. That guy is so smart and so interesting and doing something really unique. I can't wait to see his next movie. That is it from me. Thanks for listening, and thanks to Joshua Eustace, aka Telephone Tel Aviv, for our beautiful music, and we will speak soon.